No, I don't want to be in a canon with a cicada god. What? Okay? Generic intro and the that goes me here, back with another SCP video, and today we're doing my very first video by the Exploring series, which is going to be SCP-3004 Imago. I think that's how that's supposed to be pronounced. I'm doing this because last week I reacted to, I think it was SCP-2852, which is called Cousin Johnny. I did that video by the Vulcan. Most of the videos I've done has been by the Vulcan, and took my reaction to that, which that was probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been while making one of these videos out of the thousands that I've done. You can check out my reaction, I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also, in a place on my channel with all of my other SCP reactions. Go in chronological order if you want to binge watch through all of those. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and hopefully I can make it just a tiny little bit better. I'm not sure why it looks like there's a cicada that's on a crucifix. I do not like cicadas. Of all my years being a Boy Scout and sleeping in the woods in North Carolina and having here cicadas at all hours of the night keep me up at night, it was not fun. I do not like cicadas. So apparently this has something to do with Cousin Johnny and that whole SCP, so hopefully it's not as bad as Cousin Johnny's SCP was. But a lot of people were telling me in the comment section, check out the Exploring series video on SCP-3004. So we're going to check this out. Let me know if there's other videos by the Exploring series or just other SCPs in general. Please let me know, and you know which creator you want me to react to, because there's so many good ones, and I would definitely love to watch, I guess, the best version, so I don't, you know, do the wrong video or something like that. I don't know. I'm going based off of what you tell me in the comment section. I do read every one of your comments, leave them down below. And also shout out to the patrons. I could not do this if it was not for them. They get all the videos a day early. And also we're like 700 subscribers away from 100,000, trying to hit it before the end of the year. But let's go ahead and jump into SCP-3004 Imago. Alright, my first Exploring series video.
SCP-3004 Imago.
Oh, I did. Okay, it is pronounced like that.
Imago
Okay.
is a Latin word meaning image, and has a number of different definitions in today's world. Most commonly, it refers to the final stage of development for an insect.
That makes sense.
It can also refer to a psychological concept of someone's unconscious, idealized mental image of someone, especially a parent, as well as the concept of Imago Dei, the image of God.
Oh.
The idea that God created
Dude, there's a cicada god. I swear.
I mention these definitions because SCP-3004 relates to all of them in some way. Of course, it's going to involve insects in some way.
Of course.
Cicadas.
Because Cousin Johnny talked in
cicadas.
cicadas.
The other two elements of Imago is going to be particularly interesting. I've covered a lot of religious-themed SCPs so far.
I don't think I've covered any of them.
Weird. This is the first one involving a bug god.
There's actually a cicada god. Or is it not a cicada?
Revolves around a number of anomalous events connected to a druidic cult known as the Caitlaji, or the Singers, located primarily in Ireland during the 15th through 19th century.
Okay, I think I'm safe then.
These druids
were
a now extinct species of cicada, and their rituals were specifically connected to the cicada's life cycle.
Does it look like a person in the middle of the pond?
The anomalies
like walking
came
towards
into play due to the presence of a deity who began to react to the Singers' beliefs and acted upon the material world during their rituals. The most common ritual of the Singers that triggered these anomalies was when a child first lost their primary teeth, signifying their entrance into adulthood.
Okay, losing baby teeth makes sense.
These 3004 events apparently varied, but since there aren't many records of them, we only know of a couple.
It's really just any form of growth,
from the Singers
kind of.
Show cicada erupting from their facial orifices, generally causing asphyxiation.
Yeah, it's not good.
A written record discusses when a gigantic cicada appeared in the sky.
Is he talking about, like,
believed to be a manifestation of the deity,
or the cicadas? Because no cicadas like
broke out in painful boils and symptoms resembling radiation sickness. The Singers continued to carry out their rituals despite these negative anomalies, until they were eventually destroyed by various groups that preceded the Foundation, including the Vatican's Congregation for Otherworldly Acts, and the Royal Society for the Imprisonment of Abnormalcy.
Okay.
With the Singers wiped out, the cicada deity that was drawn to them ceased all activity, and was classified as neutralized. Not much is known about this deity,
just because it took away the people that worship it
as a faith-eating entity.
What does that mean?
Obviously, there's a lot more to this than that. And of course, the deity was not actually neutralized. So let's continue.
That's a big cicada.
In an archived report written by a Foundation researcher, we learn a bit more about the Singers, and especially this deity. It turns out that the Singers weren't a fringe cult, but instead were nationwide respected members of society, spreading even into Wales and Scotland.
Of course.
The religion of the Singers was beginning to surpass Christianity in rural areas of Ireland, which led to the Vatican leading the charge to wiping them out. And wipe them out they did, utterly and completely, going so far as to potentially causing the extinction of the species of cicada they worship.
That was a weird text. Or not weird,
Researchers
just...
speculate that the deity was a type of thought form, perhaps one of many, that exists above or below our existence.
Above
or below? Was drawn to the Singers.
Why do they have orange wings?
Because it was specifically related to their beliefs or cicadas, but because it was drawn to powerful beliefs in general. It acclimated itself to their beliefs.
I think I've ever seen a cicada with orange wings.
And began manifesting in our material world through the power of their faith and the repetitions of their rituals. We've seen other examples throughout the SCP universe of the power of perception and belief, such as SCP-3004, the deer, who is contained through rituals because it believes the rituals work.
Huh, that sounds like a very orc from Warhammer thing.
The researcher also says that there's no reason to believe that this entity is malevolent, but instead it spoke in the only language it knew, of blood, wood, glass, and sacrifice. This idea comes from the beliefs of the Singers, focused around life and death, and imagery borrowed from Christianity and Christ's death.
How does that, cult start?
The researcher also speculates that the brutality of the anomalies manifested among the Singers was the entity interpreting the subjugation of the Irish people at the time. Unfortunately, we have no records of what the Singers actually thought about this deity, and whether or not they were horrified by it.
They should be.
All the Foundation can do is try and prevent such an entity from returning to our material world, which, as a big shock, they didn't. To recap so far, we have an entity that exists outside of our existence, is drawn to powerful religious beliefs and groups, and manifests in our world, potentially violently, through an alien interpretation of said beliefs and groups. So far, it attached itself to a relatively small religion, which was eventually wiped out. But I think you might be able to see where this is going.
It's gonna find a bigger one?
Currently, SCP-3004 is no longer classified as neutralized, and refers to a series of anomalous events that occur in Roman Catholic, Eastern Catholic, Anglican, and Episcopalian communities.
Okay. People were saying that Cousin Johnny
a record of the variety of these events. And so
had something to do with Catholicism.
That connects all these events is the presence of creatures resembling the extinct species of cicada.
Is that Cousin Johnny?
These creatures appear alive, but are primarily made out of wood and glass.
Is that Cousin Johnny?
They are prominently involved in every 3004 event, and afterwards fly away from the event site and disappear. The Foundation speculates that they are returning to the cicada deity, either to feed
How did they get there?
Or be given new orders.
If it's not in this existence or realm.
The events are carried out by normal people in their normal places of worship, making it a pretty large containment problem.
Yeah.
And anyone that witnesses one of these events expresses a renewed interest in their faith, and they seek to convince friends and family to accompany them in the future. Individuals partaking in an event show great hesitation to stop, even if it involves self-harm. And individuals normally afraid of insects will show no aversion to the cicadas present. Also, any deaths that occur during the events will be categorized as death by natural causes.
Which is wild.
No matter what exactly happened.
Huh?
So, what are these events then? A few examples show them to be pretty gruesome.
So,
as the
it's just automatically have like an explanation for it?
Years. One event involved the slaughter of a child bearing traditional stigmata wounds.
I'm not sure what stigmata is.
Christ's crucifixion wounds.
Ooh.
A number of cicadas were crawling out of the child's injuries, and the child was killed when the officiating priest bit out their jugular.
Ew.
Cicadas continued to crawl out of the child for 6 hours after death.
Who's timing it?
Another event included the forcible removal of the priest's teeth by 12 children.
Okay.
After which all the children and the priest began to vomit out.
Okay, they didn't eat them, at least.
The priest's teeth were later served instead of communion wafers during the service.
Ew.
In another event, every male in attendance who had reached puberty was violently castrated. After which the scrotal tissues were gathered and passed out to be worn around the neck.
Why the neck?
The castrated males mimicked the cry of a cicada before many died from blood loss.
Would you really?
Cicadas were seen carrying off discarded testes.
Yeah.
In a
Every guy
fortnight,
watching this.
A pregnant woman was brought to the altar, where she gave birth to over 60 cicadas.
Who counted?
And a stillborn infant wearing
That's
a
sad.
wooden crown.
Who put the crown?
The crown was promptly burnt, and the infant consumed.
By what?
All very pleasant stuff. It's believed that the cicada deity uses these creatures that resemble cicadas in order to collect faith, which it consumes. With the singers, it used actual cicadas, but since the species was entirely wiped out, it created these wood and glass creatures as a substitute.
Do you think it's supposed to be like stained glass, kind of like their wings?
Our reality,
kind of look like stained glass?
Partially intersects with ours, where it is able to feed off of human faith. It's theorized that if it consumes enough faith, it will completely enter our reality, at which point it will ultimately end our world due to the brutality of the events.
Because cicadas.
The
But then
deity
it wouldn't
believes
have
itself
anything else to eat.
The Abrahamic
would it?
God, and after the destruction of the singers, it latched on to the other familiar religion, Christianity. Since an extra-dimensional religion-eating deity is attempting to enter our reality by consuming Christian faith, the Foundation, of course, has a plan. If the entity succeeds and enters our reality, the Foundation will initiate Protocol Damasio ad Bestias, Latin for condemnation to beasts.
Okay.
A protocol that involves using SCPs and mass amnestics to erase Christianity from existence.
What do you mean by... How do you just erase all...
theoretically cut off the entity's food supply.
Like, aren't there like statues and stuff? Churches?
We get to learn more through a report written by an MTF agent about a project called Site-C Lux. Site-C was a project involved in astral projection.
Is that what like the smoke is?
Individual's
that they're walking around with?
Leaves their physical body and can travel throughout the universe. The idea is that agents would use astral projection to view anomalies they wouldn't normally be able to see.
Because they're not in this plane of existence?
Site-C Lux involved using the project to check out the cicada deity.
Well, I don't know if you want to see that.
They captured one of the cicada creatures and let it loose so that an agent could latch onto it using Site-C and follow it back to the god. The agent writes that where the deity lives is empty, except for itself and the cicadas.
Sounds very lonely.
It's not darkness where it lives, it's nothing.
I mean, bugs like light,
a concept not unheard of in the SCP universe, such as with pattern screamers. He describes the deity by writing that it's just waking up, like it's laying in bed right after waking, and the events that are happening on Earth are it just hitting the snooze button and staring at the ceiling. He doesn't want it to wake up. When the deity saw him, he describes it as hard to look at, due to it appearing as too many things at once, including a big bug, an old man, a cicada on a cross, and an infinite expanse of stained glass and wood. It then begins to communicate with the agent through a barrage of thoughts and concepts. The entity doesn't understand metaphor, and it believes that it is the Abrahamic God. And
what does it mean by that?
Exactly
what is the Abrahamic God?
It was happy to see the agent, but he wanted nothing to do with it. It asked him if he missed it, as they never actually neutralized it, but it was just hibernating.
Huh, great.
The entity then opened its mouth, and the agent tumbled into it, becoming communion wine and wafers, and it ate the agent as he endlessly fell. The agent felt a pain of his soul, as the entity prodded him for new information.
That's not good. Is that why I was excited to see him?
Where it's at, like looking at a TV with bad reception. The agent felt the entity looking at his memories of his first girlfriend and his 10th birthday, and every memory of every church service he attended, which is quite a lot as he was a theology major. The agent concludes that all he really did with Site-C Lux was feed it more, and they shouldn't send any more agents.
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
If this isn't God,
give it more
it
strength.
Might become God, because he looked around and there wasn't anything else across space and time.
Hey, that's the only thing that exists now?
The final addendum relates to the decision to approve Protocol Damasio ad Bestias as a containment scenario. The note is written by a Foundation employee who happens to be a Roman Catholic.
No.
She says that Judaism will remain untouched, and Islam will only lose one of its prophets, but
Yeah.
Christianity will be completely erased.
Yeah, that's
She
crazy.
wishes
A
that this
world
problem
without.
could be solved any other way, but
Why did
the
they pick?
3004
I guess because
events
it
are
was
becoming
similar. That's
increasingly
why they
common.
picked Christianity.
She is honest and says that they have no idea what exactly will happen when the protocol is finally initiated.
Yeah, what if it
Whether
doesn't
or not
work?
it will result in all life being wiped out anyways, or if something else will fill the gap left by the cicada deity.
Hmm.
She admits that it's possible that the cicada deity actually has already devoured the Christian god, and she partly relishes the idea of killing it. They're working on enacting the protocol as soon as possible, which will involve sacrificing a Roman Catholic reality bender to
What
something
is
called
that?
the Lions.
Detroit?
12 machines
Oh.
capable of obliterating concepts from existence.
Oh.
To be more specific, the individual that volunteered for the protocol is Saint Jude,
Like
one of the
the
12
hospital?
apostles of Jesus Christ,
Ooh.
who has lived all this time and has
How?
volunteered after fully understanding what will happen. All
Saint
knowledge
Jude's a
of
patron saint of
Christianity
impossible
known
causes,
to Saint Jude will
FYI.
be obliterated along with him, meaning that if
Okay.
this does work, and he does end up saving humanity, no one will remember him.
That's sad.
She finishes by asking God for forgiveness, as she is about to destroy her entire religion, and says that if this is a sin, she'll burn along with the last saint.
Huh? Well.
Truth be told, it probably wouldn't work. The entity was drawn at the singers due
What?
to the power of their beliefs. But
So he's just
since
gonna
they
find a
began
new one?
mingling with Christians, it latched onto Christianity after the singers' destruction. At this point, it's hard to believe it hasn't gained a bit of knowledge of
Why are
religion.
cicadas in SCP?
And unless the protocol somehow utterly destroys the entity, it's going to move on to the next one. While our world would probably get by without any religion, the point is still that this powerful entity has latched itself onto us and isn't letting go. More worrisome still is that, based on the Sightsee report,
How do you even
this
start?
entity has seemingly already consumed anything else that might have existed previously above our reality, and fully believes
now it's
that
working
it's
its way
doing us
down?
a favor in the process.
How nice of it.
Of course, at least at the time of this recording, Christianity still exists.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that SCP-3004 takes place in a bit of an alternate canon. One I'd like to see expanded on.
No.
There are a couple of other
don't want to be in a
SCPs
canon
connected
with a
to this
cicada
entity,
god.
but
Okay.
we'll have to wait for a separate video.
That's not a canon I want to be in. I want to be in any
I
other
discussed
canon,
the
actually.
idea of Imago at the start, the final stage of insect development, the psychological concept, and the image of God. Hopefully now you can see how well this title connects to the SCP. Ultimately, though, the entity really has nothing to do with insects, as it has transcended insects. It has become God, and now they have to kill it.
How? But, it thinks it's God, not a God, but God. It was so happy to see me, but that joy was nothing I wanted to be a part of. It was all blood and teeth. It sees what we have. It sees what we believe. I think it thinks it's giving us what we want. It doesn't understand the metaphor. It doesn't understand that we don't resurrect. It asked me if I missed it. I don't think we ever neutralize it. It's not exactly protocol, I guess, to talk back to these things, especially something like this, but I tried to tell it we didn't want them, that it all hurts us. I don't think it heard it. It didn't want to hear it. And all the patrons. That's a lot of patrons. God, those are some great. Dr. Bennett, the New Age Oracle. Dude, some of these names, you have like things like that, and you have somebody that's like Liam, Larry, or Curly. I have my fair share of patrons that have crazy long names, and I have ones that have super short names. I wouldn't be able to do this without patrons, and I'm sure Exploring Series wouldn't be able to do all these videos without his patrons as well. But Exploring Series is actually getting close to 1 million subscribers. I'm like 700-ish away from 100,000, which is a crazy milestone. If you're not already subscribed, I really hope that you could be. I might start doing SCP videos on Friday. I might swap SMG4 and SCP for their time slots, maybe. I don't really know. Let me know what you think about that. I do read every single comments. Leave them down below. Let me know what the next SCP video should be and what creator it should be by, because people have told me to do an SCP, but didn't tell me what creator to do, so then I did a different creator, and apparently that was the wrong video to watch, because all the really good channels kind of like have their own interpretation of each SCP. So there's a little bit of variety for every single SCP among all the really good SCP channels. So definitely let me know. I hope you're subscribed. Hopefully I made your day a tiny little bit better. But until the next video, take care and keep the music.